Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Brought to you by Casey's Own CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. Everything is better with the feather.
The best part of that game was that it didn't matter. Welcome into the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. The regular season is over. The Chiefs are 14-2, a remarkable record, and it's going to feel strange right now, next week, really until they actually play another game 2 weeks from now, because at this point, we've seen the Chiefs play a lot of close games. We haven't seen their absolute best football, and then their B team got pretty well handled by the Chargers, who put up a bit of a jarring 38 points against the backups. The Chiefs offense didn't keep up because they're trotting out all of the backups. They were resting their starters, and we can talk about kind of the logic of that and where I'm at in terms of, hey, did they do the right thing by choosing to rest their starters and be able to head into the playoffs knowing those guys would all be healthy? In fact, that's probably going to be a pretty major part of today's show, because that's going to be maybe the most interesting takeaway from this game, is that we'll know that the Chiefs are going to be as healthy as can be going into their game 2 weeks from now, because they will not play next week. They locked up that number 1 overall seed last week with their win over the Falcons, so this game did not matter. Again, mercifully, this game did not matter. We will talk to you on a variety of platforms today, as is the new norm here. We can, of course, watch the show on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. We've been doing that for a while, but also on the Sports Radio 810 YouTube channel and on our new Twitch stream. We're in all those places. Of course, you can also listen at 810WHB.com, in the 810WHB app, or over the radio, 8:10 a.m. And we've got all of our stuff together, I think, in terms of keeping an eye on the comment section. So leave your comments wherever you see fit. We will take a lot of them today. I think, Beards, I may still need you to keep an eye on the Facebook. I'm not sure. I might have to ask Rudy for some more guidance on where exactly all of the chat stuff is lined up. But I think I'm where I need to be to at least see the majority of the comments, where you can leave them again. Any of the platforms you see fit, or you can call in 913-381-810. We'll take some calls in a little bit as well. We'll hear from Andy Reid and Chad Henny. I don't know who else will talk for the Chiefs. I'm guessing we probably hear from Darwin Thompson, who had a nice little game, and then maybe somebody defensively. Again, a weird way to end a season in what felt like a de facto preseason game. So we'll talk about some of the takeaways that will matter, some of the ones that don't really. We'll break it down from a whole variety of angles here on the Missouri Lottery post-game show. Live wide open. Play the $5 Ride to Riches Scratchers game from the Missouri Lottery and win up to $100,000 instantly. Play it forward and play responsibly. I'm Joshua Briscoe. You can also tweet me at JBBriscoe on Twitter, or go at Sports Radio 810. So a couple of things that I think are worth noting right out of the gate. First, obviously, we're keeping an eye on any sort of update from the Deandre Baker injury. That's going to be maybe not the most important thing for this moment right now, but in the long term, there are going to be ramifications there for some of the Chiefs' plans at the cornerback position going forward. Baker really had the former first-round pick from the New York Giants. He was released, and the Chiefs signed him after the whole armed robbery accusation started to fall apart, and it became to look more and more likely that it might have been a brazen extortion scheme, which is its own kind of bizarre. But the Chiefs bring Baker in. He's been on the practice squad. He's been called up on game day a couple times, but today he got the start. Had some good moments, had some not so good moments, but he hadn't played in a live game in a very long time. And as a former first-round pick, you had to feel really good about that particular type of reclamation project, especially whenever you account for, hey, these, quote-unquote off-the-field issues for Baker were not actually at all. It's not even, that wasn't even a situation where you say, well, we'll deal with some of the off-the-field issues because he's super talented or whatever, which obviously the Chiefs have done several times. I would say pretty much every NFL roster has a couple of guys in sort of that category. That's not the case for DeAndre Baker. It seems like that whole thing was something fully out of his control and a deeply unfortunate circumstance. With all that being said, though, the Chiefs were able to bring in a first-round talent for no risk, very little money. And he goes down today in coverage, and I'm not sure if it was knee or leg. There were some people tweeting that they thought it looked like a broken leg, perhaps, which is just incredibly unfortunate. Dude was just running. If it wasn't a leg, it would be a pretty heavy knee injury. It looked like they were bringing out the heavier duty stretcher, followed up by a truck that a couple people had speculated maybe that was going to get him to the hospital as quickly as possible so they could do some important quick work to figure out the extent of the damage going on in that leg of Deandre Baker's. That's obviously the sort of darkest development from this game, but one worth knowing about if you missed it or just kind of glossed over that. We'll keep an eye on that, and hopefully we'll get some news in terms of developments from Baker's injury and what exactly that means there. Beyond that, though, also Willie Gay went out with an injury early in the game. Really another just huge bummer, partially because I thought Willie Gay was probably going to get 95% of the defensive snaps in this game. It was really a chance for him to prove that he had a command over this defense and that he would be a tremendous part of it. And again, maybe next year or even in a role in the playoffs. No idea if it's going to keep him out for an extended period of time or if it just knocked him out of this game. But a real chance for him and Baker both to get really meaningful snaps in a game that would have been real to them. Also in a game where you have guys like Colin Saunders out there, who I think might have been playing linebacker by the end of the game, or at least in some sort of hybrid role. A lot of people were tweeting about it, and he was definitely standing up a good amount. So that is remarkable because you don't see interior defensive linemen move like that, even in the NFL, all that often. Colin Saunders is a absolutely crazy athlete. But with all of that, out there as well, the reason that all those guys come up here in this game, and we're going to have to evaluate this game on a curve for a variety of reasons. But those guys, keep in mind, and especially some of the guys that aren't on the team anymore, but the guys you saw today, they didn't have a preseason this year. There were no preseason games to trudge through and say, well, this stinks, but at least we're getting to see what does rookie Willie Gay look like? Is Colin Saunders going to get out there? We might have had Tershawn Wharton on the field even sooner if you see him doing it in real time. And so Bo Pete Keys was out there and had, I think, I took notes about specific guys in this game today because that was more interesting than any sort of play-by-play. But Bo Pete Keys should have had a touchdown on the second drive of the game on him, but the receiver dropped it. He had a nice play on the ball back on 3rd and 10. Later in that drive, he couldn't hold on to the pick. Then there was the pass interference on Bo Pete Keys. He was in position, but he never turned his head around, so he got called for pass interference. Those kinds of things, those kinds of moments on tape, those are the first moments that Bo Pete Keys has on NFL film now. Deandre Baker's first snaps as a Chief were there. Willie Gay has had limited snaps. He played quite a bit last week, but he's largely had limited snaps this year. Rashad Fenton was getting more work that he hasn't had as much of since L'Jarius Sneed came back from his injury. You had a backup offensive line out there where Yasir Durant was moved into right guard. Is he going to be a viable option there for next year? The weird thing, though, and what doesn't happen in the preseason, the weird thing is that we're not just in a place where we're antsy for real games. We are now antsy for postseason games, understandably. But think about how we feel every fourth preseason game. And honestly, usually I think it's by the second one that starts to set in. But the first one, you're like, all right, football, great. If it ends with Chad Haney, Matt Moore, Kyle Shermer playing quarterback, that's fine. I want to see dudes in Chiefs uniforms playing football. So the first preseason game gives you that. The second one, usually about over it by the time Mahomes is out of there. The third one, you get a little more real stuff. It's still vanilla, but you're still seeing things. You're trying to pick apart the offensive line and try to figure out who's going to be meaningful in that season. And then the fourth game just feels like a tease, or it just feels like a waste of time. This game kind of had that vibe, but it's following 16 stressful, weird weeks of football, 15 games, obviously. And we've had our blood pressure played with through these last 16 weeks. I'm including the bye week because I watched Red Zone. But over the 15 games the Chiefs have played so far, I mean, there were big wins against good teams. There were tight wins against teams you didn't expect to be there. And it's all building up to this playoff run where the Chiefs are going to attempt to, of course, run it back. And instead, we end up having this 2 week of football window and really kind of 3 weeks of dead air, essentially, where the games don't matter or aren't happening at all. So this is just a kind of a unique space to be in. It's not a bad one, though. So let's go big picture here. It also does look like I've got Facebook comments on the little stream over here also, Beard. So I'm going to tell everyone one more time. You want to get in touch with the show. This might be a real proof of concept pre-playoff run show for us here. This is our week 17 with the first round bye locked up. I'm going to try to keep an eye on the YouTube, Twitch, and Facebook comments significantly over the course of the show. Got them all in one place here. So if you watch the show live on any of our streams, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, All Sports Radio 810, all those places, Google it, you'll find it. The URLs are a little different, but check on all of those streams there, and we'll take questions over the course of the show. Although the first one from Facebook says, empty username. Empty username asks if you heard anything on Willie Gay. Still nothing yet on Willie Gay. And Mark, welcome me back to the show. Thank you, Danny. I don't know why this thing says empty username. We might just not get, I don't know. We'll figure that out. And then also Mark on YouTube says, welcome back, because I was gone last week. Lee both filled in for me. Appreciated that. I thought last week might end up being the meaningless game, but the Steelers lost again. So the Falcons game obviously locked up this 1 seed. This game didn't ultimately end up mattering. Honestly, I was still pretty excited to do this show and to have this game because I thought at the very least we'll have, as Danny was asking about, we'll have 80-90% of the snaps from Willie Gay. That might give us a little bit to sink our teeth into, and then he gets hurt, kind of gets his ankle rolled into. Deandre Baker goes down with a pretty devastating-looking leg injury, and we're just kind of here now, twiddling our thumbs, trying to figure out if Darwin Thompson is going to matter in 2 weeks. I don't know. So we have this preseason vibe. Again, we'll hear from Andy Reid. Rudy has already written Patrick Mahomes in the Google Doc. I'm guessing we're not going to hear from Patrick Mahomes, probably.
No, we won't.
Rudy has given me the handout wipe away sort of slashing motion. No, we will hear from Chad Henny, I certainly imagine. And then we'll eventually get Anthony Lynn, Justin Herbert. Some rumors that Anthony Lynn is very much up in the air. I believe Jay Glazer said it looked like Anthony Lynn was probably not returning next year with the Chargers. So we'll hear from Reed and Henny, and then Anthony Lynn and Justin Herbert at some point. We'll talk to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest, and whoever else the Chiefs bring out to the podium, we will hear from them as well, live here on Sports Radio 810
Darwin Thompson.
WHB. Is that official? I imagine we'll hear from Darwin.
No, I'm just saying.
2 touchdown day.
Who we're going to hear.
We're going to get a little D train. Absolutely. Here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. It's presented by CBD American Shaman. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. Our team score is your percent off. They scored 21, so you get 21% off all day tomorrow. American Shaman, life is better with the feather. I also should have mentioned several times now our live coverage that I've mentioned so many times over on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and I don't know, I'll come do it at your house if you want. If you pay us, we'll do the show from your house probably. Beard's looking at me like we won't. I bet we probably will. It's all brought to you. Our digital coverage, visual coverage is all brought to you by 5 Farms Irish Cream. 'Tis the season to enjoy the world's best Irish cream in your coffee, hot cocoa, favorite holiday cocktail, or simply on its own. Visit 5farmsirishcream.com and follow 5 Farms on Facebook and Instagram for signature recipes and more. Happy holidays from 5 Farms Irish Cream. Follow 5 Farms on Facebook is a real minefield that I've navigated, and it's a good little phrase, but it did require a little balancing act. While we wait to hear from whoever we end up hearing from, whenever we end up hearing from them, The one thing that I want to go back to the Willie Gay and Deandre Baker injuries on, and just sort of the larger proof of concept conversation here of resting these guys. I'm not in any way worried about the Chiefs getting rusty over the next week. Just doesn't even register, because that conversation also absolutely never registers whenever the Chiefs are coming off of a bye. What is the conversation actually? Andy Reid's so good off a bye. Andy Reid is so good at the beginning of a season. This offensive coaching staff always has something new. I'm sure they've been saving some things. I think, you know what? We're going to line this up whenever we need it. Here's our extra wrinkle for this game whenever. That is not only not a detriment to what the Chiefs have done in the Andy Reid era here in Kansas City, and really Andy Reid even in Philly, and certainly Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes. The key is that that's a benefit to what they can do. And beyond that, one thing that I just don't think most people who kind of take the side of maybe this will be a rusty transition from a meaningful game to a meaningless one to a bye week off to a super important playoff game is that guys just get hurt and bodies get continually banged up. There was no reason for Eric Fisher and Mike Rimmers to continue putting stress on their back injuries in this game. Absolutely none whatsoever. Those dudes don't need reps. Anyone they thought they might need reps, Juan Thornhill, who played a ton in this game, those guys were still out there. You don't need, and maybe they wanted to rest Thornhill also, but they were running out of safeties. I don't know. I have a theory on Thornhill. We'll probably get to him later in the show. But the guys who this was useful for were out there. Everybody else, you just want them to avoid the wear and tear and certainly the very large-scale injuries that come over the course of any NFL football game. Plus, there is a positive impact of, hey, just don't go get beat up across from a bunch of professional NFL players playing for this job, their next job, their paychecks. There's no reason to put anybody that you don't have to put into harm's way. And maybe they saw some things they liked from Colin Saunders. I hope they did. Maybe they saw something they liked from Yasir Durant. Giving Daniel Kilgore some time because he hasn't had a lot of time on the field. Maybe that's useful. Martinez Rankin out there hasn't played this whole season on the offensive line. Put him out there and get him some game snaps. All of that makes sense. There was no reason for Travis Kelce or Chris Jones to go out there and try to make any extra money or set any other records over the course of this weekend. Apparently, the Titans just won with, I think, seconds left, a field goal of some sort, or they missed a field goal. I'm not sure. I'm seeing people tweeting about kickers. But they made
the field goal. I think it was a doinker.
It was so the Titans kicked a field goal, hit the upright, went in. So the Titans win there, 41-38. I don't know if their spot was locked up at that point or not.
I think that gets them in.
I believe there it is. Okay, we have the end of the AFC playoff picture now, and we'll get to Anthony Lynn momentarily as well. The Dolphins are the odd team out in the AFC. What the AFC playoff picture is right now, Chiefs are the 1 seed. Bills versus Colts will be the 2-7 game. Steelers versus Browns is the 3-6. And Titans versus Ravens is the 4-5. That's a good playoff bracket. My goodness, that's exciting. The Chiefs, obviously, if the Colts win, would play the Colts. If the Browns win, would play the Steelers. They will absolutely, though, play the Colts, Browns, Ravens, or Titans next week. And we'll talk more about that in a little bit. Anthony Lynn at the podium.
Didn't go the way we wanted it to, but it was good to see these young men finish what we started and finish it out the right way. Now, our goal was to go 4-0 this last quarter of the season, and that's what we did. So I take my hat off to them. They're very resilient. They have a lot of character in that locker room. And to go 4-0 after that New England game and the way we played that game and the way we got beat that game, I tell you, it says a lot about those young men. And it's good to see a lot of those young guys step up and play today. We had a lot of guys go out and some other guys that stepped up off the practice squad and they played. And it's just nice to see their development and where they're at right now and their careers. And I take my hat off to the veteran guys too, because this is a game that a lot of veteran guys could look to not play in, and they could have found their way out if they wanted to, but they stuck it out and they played, and they helped us accomplish our goal here at the end. So I take my hat off to those kids.
All right, let's start with questions. Cam Buford.
Hey, congratulations, Coach, on the win to finish the season.
Cam.
What's the initial report on Austin Eckler?
He came off. I think they was checking him for concussion. I'm not sure what they decided, but that's what they were checking on. But I wouldn't let him go back in anyway.
Okay. What does it mean to you and the coaching staff and the team to finish the season off with the last month of all wins?
Well, I mean that was our goal, was to finish 4-0 in this last quarter of the season. And I think it's a positive way to go into the offseason. And I do believe how you finish can help jumpstart the next year.
Okay, lastly for me, Coach, would you talk about the job that Pep Hamilton and Shane Steichen have done all season with Justin Herbert and the development of Herbert? Will you talk about that for a minute?
Yeah, I mean, Justin coming in here without an offseason, without in preseason, he was coached up well. You know, we put him in some positions to make plays, but Justin and his work ethic, I mean, he took all that on his shoulders, and he just got better every single week. At one point, he went through a little rough patch, but I believe he came out of that a better quarterback. You know, all rookie quarterbacks are going to go through something like that, and I like the way he went through it and the way he came out of it. But those guys did a heck of a job of getting him prepared.
Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Travel safe.
Jeff Miller.
Anthony, with now that the season's over with Justin, just how impressive was what he just did, what we just watched the last 15 games?
Oh, I think it's very impressive. You know, he took care of the football, you know, for a rookie quarterback to play as much as he did. I thought he did an outstanding job of taking care of the ball, and that was an area that we wanted to improve, is ball security. And, you know, he put us in some positions to win some of those close games that we lost. And, you know, he held his own, no doubt about it. I know he want to do better and he want to do more, but I was pleased overall with his development, his growth, and I look forward to his future in this league. I think he's going to have a bright, bright future.
Anthony, there have been reports this morning and into the afternoon that you were going to meet tomorrow with upper management about your situation. Can you tell us anything about that? Is that official?
Jeff, I meet every Monday with management about the games, and so we do that every Monday.
And Anthony, how do you feel about your your status right now? I mean, do you feel like you're going to remain the coach of this team?
Well, as of right now, I'm still on the contract, so that's how I feel.
And do you feel like you deserve the chance to remain the coach?
You know what? If I got what I deserved, I mean, that would be really bad. But you know, I think we've done a good job here under the circumstances. I like to be the head coach here, but like I say, right now I'm under contract, so I am the head coach here. It's not a matter of what I feel like.
Okay, and I'm sorry, I didn't quite understand what you said right at the beginning. If I got what I deserved.
Well, I think if we all got what we deserved, it wouldn't be what we want. That's what I'm trying to say. So I don't even like to say that I want what I deserve.
Okay, all right. Do you feel like, I mean, the way the team finished, I mean, do you think that is a good reflection on you?
I think it's a good reflection on those men I just talked about. You know,
Okay.
They put in the hard work, and the coaching staff did as well. But as a team, I was pleased with the way we finished the season, and that was what we had to do. I mean, what we needed to do, and they did it. You know, that was our goal.
Okay, thank you.
Dennis Freeman.
How you doing, Coach? Congratulations on the win. Coach, the last 4 games, how would you consider the last 4 wins as building blocks for the young players like Tyron, Jalen, Kalen as well?
You know, I think it's huge building blocks for those young kids, and it was good to see them execute in the last 4 weeks. You know, we went through some of those growing pains early with these young men, but even Nas Adderley on the defense side of the ball, you know, watching those guys play now is night and day from when we first started out. But that was good to see that growth and that development. We had no idea what we had at the wide receiver group at the start of this season, but the way Jalen Guyton came around, Tyron Johnson came around, and even KJ Hill came around at the end. and Joe Reed is the up and coming young pup. I feel really good about that group.
And as great as Justin has played this season, what would you suggest that he do in the offseason to avoid any pitfalls going into his sophomore season?
In this league, it's not about his skill set. His skill set is there. He has the ability. What's going to make him successful is right between his ears. His attitude, his approach to life, and just being a professional. And he has shown me that he can do all those things, and his teammates respect him for it. So I just see him getting better and better. And I think he can take us a long ways.
Thank you, Coach.
Sure.
Gilbert.
Hey, Anthony, how would you kind of describe the whole year? It was very difficult from the coronavirus, to protests, to injuries, to losses, but was it pretty tough for you this 2020 year?
It was no tougher for us than it was anyone else. So, it was a difficult year for sure, but we knew it was going to be that way. We had to adapt and adjust, and that's what we had to do.
And Anthony, I know you don't know your future, but does it feel like this, this franchise is moving in the right direction for the future?
You know what? I decide that when I take a look at this season, when I have a chance to reflect and think about everything that we're doing right now. But I feel good about this football team, and I feel good about the way we finished. And like I said, I know that momentum going into the off season, that can't do anything but help us in 2021. But I'll talk about that part tomorrow.
Thank you, Anthony.
Sure.
Hopper.
Hey, Anthony, you said all season that you talk regularly with Dean and John. Have you gotten any indication lately where you stand in terms of your job security?
No, like I say, we talk every week, so we'll talk tomorrow. And as of right now, I'm still on the contract, and I'm just gonna go with that because that's how I feel.
Are you expecting that conversation tomorrow? The result of that to be a decision on your future? Is that your expectation?
Well, I mean, we talk at the end of every season. We get together and we talk, and we look at the big picture, and we go back and talk about the whole year and how it went and where we're going from here. We have a vision for this program, and that's what we're trying to build right now.
Because obviously, when you're discussing where coaches stand, obviously the primary issue is quarterback development. You've obviously done a good job as head coach of developing Justin this season. If you're making a pitch to ownership, does your pitch start there with how Justin has played this season and your role in that?
I didn't know I was making a pitch to ownership. Are you suggesting that I make a pitch to ownership?
I'm saying if you had to.
You know something I don't know? Go ahead and say it.
I don't. That's why I'm asking you the question.
Okay.
I'm saying in a hypothetical world where if you did have to make a pitch, hypothetically.
Yeah. I don't want to deal with hypotheticals.
Fair enough. Thank you, Anthony.
Sure.
A couple more for you, Coach. Fernando.
Anthony, what did after such a long season, what did you ask your players, or what did you tell your players after the game?
It was a long season, but we like for the season to be longer. In week 17, we want to get to a point to where we're thinking 5 more weeks. And that mentality starts right now, not next year.
And Anthony, if you don't return as the head coach, what are your thoughts about your 4 years here as the Chargers head coach? How would you sum it up?
Right now I'm not in the mindset to go there and think about all that. I'm just focused on these guys in this locker room over here in the game they just played and the way we finished this season. So,
thank you, Anthony.
Sure.
Last one for you, Dylan Hernandez.
Hi, Anthony. Presumably fans, with the vaccine out and stuff now, there will be fans back in the stands next season. Obviously there are a ton of entertainment options around LA. If you were to, again, just communicate to the fans why after 2 tough seasons, you think things will be different for you guys next year, what would be, I guess, your pitch to them in terms of what you find encouraging about, what you saw on the field this year?
Well, the way we finished these last 4 weeks, I think is what you got a chance to see moving forward. So, we had a young quarterback that stepped in and played in a situation that was unusual. When we lost our starter, guys fought. I mean, guys battled. We were in a lot of games. God knows I wish we could have won some of those close games we were in earlier, but we fell short. But these men kept battling. They regrouped. We fought, finished the season off the right way. I think the fans have a lot to look forward to.
And just to be clear, you are expecting Dean to be in that meeting tomorrow?
Excuse me?
You expect Dean Spanos to be in that meeting tomorrow?
I mean, I don't know who the hell's going to be in that meeting tomorrow. I don't even know what meeting is supposed to be going on that you guys are talking about. But when I know something, I'll let you know.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
All right, that'll do it. Thanks, Coach.
One of the more interesting post-game coach press conferences you'll probably hear. Anthony Lynn genuinely not sure one way or another if he'll be the coach next year, which makes that all the more interesting. That's the opposing coach press conference. It's brought to you by Metcalf CarStar. If your vehicle gets sacked on the road, take it to Metcalf CarStar, the collision repair experts. They make it convenient and easy to get back on the road. Go to carstar.com and search for Metcalf CarStar. CarStar, relax. They'll take it from here. Again, genuinely interesting, not just because that's not an Adam Gase post-game press conference where everybody knows he's out. That's a situation right there where it seems like the Chargers have not made their decision absolutely yet, and seeing what comes in the coming days will be very interesting, especially in the light of a lot of the questions that Anthony Lynn had to answer there. Injury update here. Andy Reid says Willie Gay has a left ankle sprain. Deandre Baker's left femur was broken. Andy Reid said that he's optimistic that Baker will be able to come back from that, though. This is going to sound partially insane, I think, but a broken leg without complications, if it's a relatively clean break, could end up having less long-term impact than a bunch of tendons in your knee being messed up. So if the options were a multi-ligament catastrophic knee injury or a bone break, that might be better depending on the details that will come in probably the next few days. Something to keep an eye on there. Obviously, a really rough situation with Baker, hopefully becoming a part of this defensive secondary in the years to come. But a broken left femur for Deandre Baker, sprained ankle for Willie Gay. We will take a break here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. It's presented by the Missouri Lottery. Play the $5 Ride to Riches Scratchers game and play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly.
You're listening to live post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
At J. Wolf Acura, you've found more than just a top-notch Acura dealer in Kansas City. Here you'll discover what a dealership should be. J. Wolf Acura offers customers experience and expert advice that are second to none. Not to mention their deals on new and used Acuras, cars, and SUVs. The J. Wolf difference isn't just about the sales department. Using genuine Acura parts, their factory-trained technicians will make sure your vehicle is well cared for. Call them or stop in at J. Wolf Acura to see how they can serve you better. 2 locations, 103rd and State Line in KCMO or 7727 Frontage Road in Overland Park. LMC Truck, located right here in Kansas City, offers quality parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks, SUVs, and vans. At lmctruck.com, their website features the same detailed interactive artwork as the catalog. Restoring old memories or just getting started on new ones, LMC Truck is here to help. They are more than just parts. Trucks are a lifestyle. They understand that. LMC Trucks helps you live it. Just go to lmctruck.com. LMC Truck, keeping generations on the road.
Call Bob Hamilton, Plumbing, Heating, AC, Rooter, and Electrical. Did you know your heating system can lose 5% efficiency every year? Call us today and get a $49 system check, and we'll give you a Google Home Hub absolutely free. What? That's a $139 value while they last. How's that for peace of mind? Better call Bob.
Bob Hamilton Plumbing, Heating, and AC. Call 888-4BOB. Remember 913.
Stop by Premier Mazda today and save thousands. Right now, 0% APR for 60 months plus $750 APR bonus cash. And no payments for 90 days on any new 2020 Mazda. Premier Mazda is the 2019 President's Club winner and the largest Mazda dealer in KC. Right now, it's the Kickoff to Savings event at Premier. Get 0% financing for 60 months and no payments for 90 days. And take advantage of the Kingdom bonus when you mention this ad. Find out why Premier Mazda is Kansas City's best. Right past State Line and 135th or at PremierMazdaKC.com.
Our friends at CBD American Shaman are calling an audible for our listeners, so listen close. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local Shaman store the day after the game. If Kansas City puts up 30 points, it's 30% off the next day at your local CBD American Shaman. If they put up 50 points, you got it. 50% off the very next day. Now that's a big win. American Shaman, life is better with the feather.
Robert Brogdon Buick GMC in Olathe is your destination location for quality new and used vehicles. You'll find the area's largest inventory of new Buicks and GMCs, including the all-new 2021 GMC Yukon, plus a huge selection of hard-to-find models with a hassle-free customer experience. At Brogdon, they know your time is valuable, making sure to give you the fastest car buying experience. And Brogdon is an official GMC Business Elite dealer, serving the entire KC metro area with professional-grade vehicles for your fleet or commercial needs. Visit robertbrogdon.com. See him in person at I-35 in Santa Fe and Olathe.
First down and goal. Play action, Henny to the end zone. He's got Byron Pringle for the touchdown.
The Tully touchdown of the game, presented by Tullamore Dew Irish Whiskey. Tullamore Dew is the original triple-blended, smooth-sipping Irish whiskey made exactly for these great moments in fandom. Please drink Tullamore Dew responsibly.
Welcome back into the Sports Radio 810 WHB post-game show. I'm Joshua Briscoe, Beards McFly, Rudy Salazar all around. You can watch the show in a variety of places, Twitch, YouTube, Facebook. You can listen at 810WHB.com and in the 810 mobile app. Again, the injury note so far, the biggest news of the day right now is that it's a broken left femur for Deandre Baker, an ankle sprain for Willie Gay Jr. Also, Rashad Fenton left the game with both ankles bothering him, according to Andy Reid. We'll hear from Andy Reid in a little bit. We'll hear from Chad Haney in a little while. We'll hear from Justin Herbert, and then probably some Chiefs as well here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. I think Rudy is yelling who's next, and we'll figure it out in a little bit. I bet we hear from Darwin Thompson at some point, but we'll see how that all plays out. Again, lots of places you can leave your comments. We'll see them all. From Credible Hulk on Twitch. I love that we're gonna have Twitch usernames in the show now. It says, I want the Chiefs to knock the Bills out. The AFC playoff picture is set. I think the most fun setup might be for them to get the Browns in 2 weeks, and then the Bills. Is Thompson speaking now, Beards, or is he coming up? Need slightly more information. Darwin Thompson at the podium. Let's go back to the stadium.
Le'Veon Bell came to the addition of with the running back rotation. You haven't got much play. What was it, one, for you to be out on the field, and then two, just to kind of take advantage of the opportunity you had tonight?
You know, it's opportunity meeting preparation. Since Le'Veon's been here, I've learned a lot from the guy. With the time that I've been not playing as much, I've been perfecting my craft, catching the ball, working on my pass pro, just things I need to work on. It was time for me to grow, and then I just needed opportunity, and this was opportunity, and I took advantage of it.
Go next to Matt McMullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Darwin. Congrats on the big game. You had the big 37-yard screen pass early in the game. Really kind of got you guys going offensively. Can you walk us through that play, and how much did that help you get loose at all in the game? How much did that fire you up for the game?
Really, I've been watching, like Sherm, they be mad at me because I watch film so much, and I'll watch plays over and over, and I'll just try to think of ways that I can make it right. And so going into this game, screenplays, being more patient on my screens was one of the biggest things. And on that screenplay, it was the first one. And I'm like, I got to be patient. I got to be patient. And once I got the ball in my hands, I knew it was time to go. I just seen a lot of grass. Really, I've seen too much grass. And I'm like, I don't know where to run besides this way.
Next to Pete Sweeney. Go, Pete.
Darwin, you seem like you've been able to stay positive through this whole situation, and I know it must not have been easy. I'm wondering what type of strategy you kind of had when the Chiefs go and get a running back in the early rounds and then go get a Le'Veon Bell. How were you able to stay positive?
Man, my coach died. My JUCO coach died like 4 months ago. And it's just God's plan. I just got to keep going. I mean, man, I wish he was here to watch me. No, I don't know. I had to keep going. Some kids is looking up to me. You know, so many people doubted me up until this point. And he pushed me to be great. And I just want the kids back home, don't never let nobody tell you what you can and can't do. Believe in yourself, man. You know, I went the JUCO route. I didn't have it this way, that way, the other. But I never stopped believing in myself. I look myself in the mirror every morning. I got a whiteboard with all my goals, and I read them out to myself. And they say, finish 2020 out strong. Coming to 2021 dominant. And I recreated my identity. And I just know my coach watching over.
Let's go next to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Darwin. It's clear that your JUCO coach meant a lot to you. Can you tell me more about that relationship you had with him, and what was his name?
Coach Gerald Paxton House. Man, he pushed me to be great, and I didn't understand it until I wanted to declare for the draft. And he thought it was a bad decision, and then we had our conversations much after that, and it was grown man conversations for each other. We helped each other out after that point, and I would talk to his new players or his new group of running backs. He pushed me in a lot of different ways as a man, as a follower of Christ, and just to be a better young man. You know, a lot of kids that go JUCO are either misguided or they didn't have the grades or they just needed that second chance. And I was a leader in my junior college, and he helped push me to be that. I don't talk much, and so in JUCO, I learned how to do that and how to lead. And coming to the NFL, being around such great leaders. I mean, I watch guys from afar. I mean, the guys that are paid on this team, they're paid for a reason. And I watch them guys and how they make moves and how they carry themselves. The second stringers were practicing this week, and you watching Tyrann Mathieu practicing his butt off. You know what I'm saying? And you watch Frank Clark, you watch them guys practice their butt off, and they know they're not playing. And so my coach taught me how to practice as well. Practice fast. It's game time moves, game time cuts. And I appreciate him for that. He forever have a press on me.
And we'll go last to Steve Walls. Go ahead, Steve.
Darwin, EB told us earlier this week that he often reminds the team that all of you guys are always interviewing for a job every single day. Was that something that was in your mind coming into today's game to put more positive film on tape?
Coming into today's game, it was just play your game, have fun, man. I ain't had fun with football. I love to ball. I'm not going to lie to people and say that I love everything about the game of football. I love to ball. I love to run the ball. I love to ball. I love to have a good game. I'm going to work because I have to work because I know I need to get better because I'm chasing greatness. I love the ball. Coming in today's game, it was go out there and ball. The rest of the stuff going to take care of itself. I ain't going to worry about all that. That ain't for me to worry about. The business side ain't for me to worry about. I'm worried about doing my job as a football player and doing my job as today was to be the starting running back and take care of my business.
Darwin, we appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it.
There's Darwin Thompson, emotional, going back to his JUCO coach and getting the opportunity today. Also played very well today. In fact, we'll make him our player of the game. Bud Light football's back, and Bud Light is with you all season long. Bud Light is the official beer sponsor of your Kansas City Chiefs, Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. In fact, back to the podium, Beards. Are we going back? Beards keeps telling. Okay, Tim Ward got a lot of work today for the Chiefs. He is live at the podium right now.
When you came in and you were here for that mini camp during your draft prep and everything, what's it mean to just have the journey that you've had and then get out there and be able to start and play today's game?
Man, it means so much, man. It means a lot, just having the support of my family and all my coaches and, everybody that helped give me this opportunity. It means so much.
Go next. Matt, I think I had a follow-up. Go ahead, Matt.
I'm just curious specifically, on the sack. It's a big moment, getting your first sack in your career. What was kind of going through your mind on that play, and what did you see?
With a call, with the call, I had, outside contained, so I was just get off the ball fast as I can, and I got an overset, so I just came in the lead. He was right there waiting for me.
Let's go next to Harold Koontz. Good, Harold.
Tim, and I know a couple of people have alluded to this earlier, but with Eric Bieniemy, he always says job interview out there for you guys. For you guys that didn't get a lot of chance to play out there, what was it like to be out there, and how do you feel you guys performed to kind of prove to the coaches that come playoff time, if need be, they can trust you guys?
Obviously we wanted to come out with a W, but I feel like we fought hard, especially a lot of young guys that got to play for the first time, so that means a lot. We fought, so that means a lot.
Go next to Pete Sweeney. Good, Pete.
Tim, I know when you were coming out, you had that knee injury, and I remember Brett Veach speaking really highly about you anyway. Just how important was that long-term vision for someone and in your career and giving you the time to recover and then develop for a game like today's?
I mean, it means a lot. He obviously saw something that a lot of other teams didn't see, and he gave me one of my, I didn't have many opportunities, even as draft day approached, came and went. I didn't have too many teams calling, and he was on me from the jump. So he always believed in me and had faith in me. So, shout out to him for sure.
Let's go next to Nick Jacobs. Go, Nick.
Tim, for you, how do you guys approach this week with having the layoff you're going to? How do you approach and stay sharp and maintain where you're at right now?
Just getting in the film room, watching, our next opponent, taking care of our body and just, staying locked in.
Let's go next to Nate Taylor. Go ahead, Nate.
Hey, Tim, I have two questions for you. Just what does it mean for you to have such a long layoff? And then what did you feel like you got better at to have such a performance today? And then Brad will have a follow-up.
I just using my hands, I got to do a lot of work in that area still, even so, but just using my hands and just, fundamentals that Coach Diddy, taught me from day one.
And secondly, I know you've gotten to know Colin Saunders over the last couple of years. Because of the circumstances today, it looked like he played some linebacker. Just what was it like to see him play that role for the first time, given sort of the circumstances today?
And that dude, the athlete, he can play. I'm sorry, but he can play any position to me, to be honest, man. He can ball.
Let's go last to Matt McMullen. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Tim, just watching you tonight, one thing that really stood out was your effort on each and every play. Just how much pride do you take in your effort when you're out there?
I take a lot of pride in that, in college, man, my D-line coach, Coach Kamish, that's one of the basic things that he taught, man. Just give effort on every play, man, and it'll turn out good.
Tim, we appreciate you taking the time. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
There's Chiefs defensive lineman Tim Ward, who had a couple of nice plays today, was really showed up all over the field. Dude is huge, dude is fast, and that was evident today. We will hear one more player from the podium. We'll hear from Byron Pringle. He's there right now. Let's hear from the Chiefs wide receiver.
First with Pete Sweeney. Go, Pete.
Hi, Byron. I know that, with your given place sort of in the wide receiver room, the opportunities you get are sometimes limited, but it seems like anytime you get a chance, you're catching your target or whatever, even today when there was the ball deflected, you're able to grab it out of the air. How difficult is it to just stay ready when the opportunities are so limited?
It's not difficult. You're a professional. You come to work every day. You never know when your time to be called, so you got to stay ready. Stay mentally ready, and know your assignment when you have given an opportunity to be out there.
Let's go next to Harold Kuntz. Go ahead, Harold.
Byron, when you're coming back from injury there and then you get back a little bit late in the season, do you feel like you're trying to get to that point now where you can feel you can be at a contributing level, especially now coming into postseason play? And just how cool is it to be out there with that opportunity given and to kind of showcase your talents?
Can you repeat that, sir?
Oh, just being out there to showcase what you could do after coming back from injury, and do you feel like you're getting back to a point where you can contribute in postseason play for the Chiefs?
When I went out, when I was with the training staff, I knew I was in good hands with Julie and Rick and staff. I knew when I got back, I knew I was going to come back and just give my all from the time that I missed, and just keep working hard. Whenever I get the opportunity, just take it one play at a time, no pressure on myself. And just execute the plan.
I think Harold had a follow-up here. Harold, go ahead.
Oh, just in terms of today's game, how do you feel you went out there and performed today? I mean, you had definitely that nice catch where you kind of avoided 3 tackles. Just kind of describe one through that play.
Once we called the play, I knew I had to get the backer, the crossover run. And once he crossed over run, I stopped. And when I seen the ball coming from Chad, I knew I had an opportunity to break away from the defender because he was still off balance. And when I get the ball in my hand and then I'm in open space, I like me versus a lot of dudes, one-on-one tackling. And just run with a lot of anger and aggression because I never know when I'm going to get the ball again. So I just take full advantage of my opportunity.
Let's go next to Herbie T.O.B. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Byron, good to see you, man.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm well, thanks. Inside the 10-yard line, the ball bounces off of Darwin Thompson. It's in the air. What's going through your head as you're seeing that loose ball in the air?
When I seen it bounce off the defender helmet, I'm like, man, either they're going to pick it or I can go grab it or knock it, make the tackle, deflect the ball so it can be an incomplete pass. But when it came backwards, I'm like, I got a shot to get in the end zone again. And I just took full advantage of that opportunity as well. Just catching it, watching the ball all the way in and try to get in the end zone.
We've got two left. We'll go Matt, Derek, and Nick Jacobs. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Byron, you've been around Tyreek now for a few years. I'm just curious, what kind of advice, what have you learned from him as, both on and off the field from Ty?
Playing the game with passion, full importance of hard work and that he do in practice, and it translates to the game. Is being able to give every player and win his one-on-one battles 1-0, try to win each play 1-0, and he always tell me just stay focused and because I never know my time be called, my name be called, and when I get the opportunity, just take full advantage of it.
I'll go last to Nick Jacobs. Go ahead, Nick.
Brett, I'll follow up for this. Byron, for you, what do you have to do and what does the receiver group have to do to stay sharp during this week off so that you don't miss a beat come divisional round?
Go in and get the treatment if you need it. Take care of your bodies and be prepared to go to work.
And for you, what have you observed from watching the playoffs over the years? How different is the intensity of that week?
It really doesn't change. We just try to fine tune our work and try to find things that we messed up on throughout the year and perfect that and go forward with just being ourselves, not putting too much pressure on ourselves, just taking one play at a time, one quarter at a time, one day at a time.
Byron, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Appreciate y'all.
There is Byron Pringle. That wraps up our locker room report for the Chiefs. It's brought to you by Twin Peaks. At Twin Peaks, you'll find wall-to-wall TVs, made from scratch food, and signature 29-degree beer served by the best-in-class Twin Peaks girls. Twin Peaks eats, drinks, scenic views. It's a Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. It's brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Live wide open. Play the $5 Ride to Riches Scratchers game from the Missouri Lottery and win up to $100,000 instantly. Play it forward and play responsibly. We will take a break here in just a moment. I also want to make sure we take more questions that come from any of our digital platforms. You can watch the show now on the Sports Radio 810 Twitch account, on the Sports Radio 810 YouTube account, on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Facebook page. You can leave a comment in any of those places. We'll get it all down the same stream over here on my left side. We'll take a bunch of questions as we get them. And all of that coverage is brought to you by Five Farms Irish Cream. 'Tis the season to enjoy the world's best Irish cream in your coffee, hot cocoa, favorite holiday cocktail, or simply on its own. Visit fivefarmsirishcream.com and follow Five Farms on Facebook and Instagram for signature recipes and more. Happy holidays from Five Farms Irish Cream. We still will hear from Andy Reid and Chad Henny, plus we'll talk to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. Also coming up on Sports Radio 810.
Chiefs Postgame. Brought to you by Casey's Own CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. Everything is better with the feather.
Whether you're looking for energy savings for the winter or updating your home office or man cave, One Stop Decorating is the place for beautiful energy-efficient window coverings. One Stop Decorating offers free in-home or virtual consultations, or you can come into one of their 3 beautiful showrooms to see all the window coverings in their Hunter Douglas galleries. Ask about smart shades that can be controlled by Google, Alexa, and HomeKit. 913-270-0408, 913-270-0408, or onestopdecorating.com. Your home, your windows, your style.
The The Chiefs are ready to run it back.
What a play by Mahomes!
And Sports Radio 810 WHB is your home for the NFL playoffs.
Wilson throws for the end zone. Metcalf has it. Touchdown, Seattle.
We'll bring you live coverage of all the action from the wild card round to the Super Bowl.
Touchdown! That's it! That's it!
Your home for the NFL playoffs. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The Kansas City Comets are back for their 11th season at Cable Dahmer Arena. And so is the energy and excitement of indoor soccer. Comet Soccer is fast, furious, high-scoring action for the entire family. And parking is always free at Cable Dahmer Arena. Get your Kansas City Comets tickets today by calling 888-9-COMETS or by visiting Ticketmaster.com. That's 888-9-COMETS or Ticketmaster.com.
This is for the men who never settle. The ones who refuse to let happy hour end without squeezing in one more round. The type of guys who would rather sweat from unspeakable places than stop eating the spiciest wings on the menu. And the men who still chuckle when they order their wings bone in. This is the Lodge mentality. This is Twin Peaks.
Who wants to settle for a single TV? With more TVs, bigger screens, plus our fabulous scenic views, there's more to watch at Twin Peaks.
When the unexpected comes calling, bounce forward with Comcast Business. Bounce forward fast with internet speeds up to a gig. And bounce forward with the flexibility to update your bandwidth in just a few clicks. Get started with a reliable internet and voice solution from Comcast Business, starting at $64.90 a month for 12 months with a 2-year agreement. Call or go online today. Restrictions apply. New customers only with 35 megabits per second service and one voice line. Early termination fee applies. Equipment, installation, taxes, and fees extra and subject to change. Call for details.
Rock your home with new tops from Kansas City's best countertop fabricator, Rock Tops. They custom fabricate and install stone surfaces that will make you fall in love with your home. Making homes look incredible is Rock Tops' thing. Being nice just comes naturally. Rock Tops offers carry-out samples and virtual or in-home appointments. Call 913-782-0802 or go to rocktopskc.com. Mention 810 Rocks to receive 10% off right now.
No one gives you more Chiefs, news, information, and interviews than your hometown radio station. Sports Radio 810, WHB.
Caught in the back of the end zone. Touchdown, Kelsey.
Yeah, you know it. Let's go.
We'll rest up some guys. That's what you work your tail off for all season.
I just trust in the coaches. I'm ready to go.
Your exclusive home for the NFL playoffs and Super Bowl 55. Sports Radio 810. WHB.
At first glance, a single ticket from the Missouri Lottery may not look like much. Maybe you just see bright colors and carefully placed ink. But because your ticket helps support Missouri public education, we see your ticket as something more. We see the opportunities it creates. So the next time you look at your ticket, see the real difference you're making. Thank you for playing it forward with the Missouri Lottery.
It's time for the Chiefs Drive of the Game.
Brought to you by One Request, a Kansas City company making car shopping easy. Stop searching site to site and avoid the numerous calls and emails from sellers. Search less, find yours at onerequest.com.
First down and 7, 11:54 to go in this regular season finale. Henny short to Thompson. Thompson will walk it in for the touchdown. One rushing, one receiving today for Darwin Thompson, and the Chiefs creep within 11.
Big day today for Darwin Thompson. 2-touchdown day, our player of the game. Be interested to see if he shows up a little more in the postseason this year, or if this just maybe bolsters his case for the regular season of 2021. I suppose it is 2021 now, so I can't just say. But you know what? I think regardless, it will bolster his case for 2021. If that's immediate or in the long term, still to be determined. This is the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. I'm Joshua Briscoe. It's brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Live wide open. Play the $5 Ride to Riches Scratchers game from the Missouri Lottery and win up to $100,000 instantly. Play it forward and play responsibly. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day. You can hop into our chats on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook Live. Some conversation right now about the Sunday Night Football game, which will be coming up next here on Sports Radio 810. Alex Smith is back for the Washington football team, and if they win this game, his first year back on the field will end in a playoff berth. Truly a tremendous story between Alex Smith and Ron Rivera, both. Two incredible stories as Washington and Philadelphia will kick off here in a little bit. We'll keep you updated on that over the next hour or so, and then we'll get you, I will say, at least the second half of the game right here on Sports Radio 810. We'll also get to Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest in a little bit as well. I don't know. Beards, give me a quick thumbs up and thumbs down here. It looks like the Andy Reid audio is nearly arriving. Chad Henny, not quite yet, it seems. So as we figure that out, I'll talk about a couple other kind of big picture things. We'll eventually get to Justin Herbert as well. But there was a little bit of question coming into this game about, should the Chiefs rest everybody? I believe Matt Derrick tweeted that it was a total of 19 players who rested in this game. Yep, 12 players active who did not play today, along with 7 inactive players, so 19 who rested. Not sure if Ben Niemann would have played if he needed to in this game. You know, he was kind of could have been on the fence. But regardless, you had 19 players not getting snaps in this game for the Chiefs. This game did not affect their playoff positioning in any way whatsoever. The question about, does this make sense? Was this the right thing for them to do? I think is a very easy conversation. I'm not worried about rust. They're professional football players any more than I'd be worried about rust after just 1 week off, which is very minimally, if not an absolute zero concern level. I'm just not stressed about it in any way. What I also know is that right now, Andy Reid knows there are only as many as 4 options for who they could end up playing in 2 weeks. The Colts, Browns, Ravens, or Titans are the 4 teams the Chiefs could play 2 weeks from now. They've already prepared for the Ravens this year. They've faced the Titans a number of times, and the Titans haven't changed a ton. And then the Browns and the Colts are a little bit of a curveball, and also teams that I'm not terribly afraid of the Chiefs seeing. I kind of think the Browns game feels like maybe the most fun matchup, maybe also because it's just weird, but they will play one of those 4 teams. Preparation can begin, at least in some way. The other thing that I think has probably been under-discussed a little bit is what the Chiefs can do looking at themselves for these next 2 weeks. I don't think that they in any way have had meaningful issues with their offense that should have you concerned about what they'll look like whenever they do play one of those teams 2 weeks from now. But they do have this additional opportunity to spend the bye week strictly looking at, before they know who they're playing, right? Strictly looking at where can we be better? What can we put together that would work against any of these teams? And then you get team specific for a full week, and also can come off of that week knowing that you are at full health, or at least as healthy as you could possibly get in this 2 week span. Plus, again, you don't have Mike Rimmers and Eric Fisher out there trying to push their way through back injuries. You don't have Ben Niemann out there struggling through a hamstring. Damian Wilson did end up playing today. He did look a little rusty. He's been out for a while, returning from his injury for the first time. But that's some significant time and he'll also be able to get back on the practice field more aggressively in these weeks to come, you'd certainly hope. There's no reason to force those guys back out onto the field, and you can also sleep well knowing that there was an awkward play with Dion Yelder. You obviously have the ankle sprain for Willie Gay, and then the broken femur for Deandre Baker, obviously being the most severe and most unfortunate. But among those messes of injuries and even just sort of some of those touch and go situations, it's better to know that those are not things that could have happened today to Travis Kelce or to Tyrann Mathieu or to Charvarius Ward or L'Jarius, any of those guys. Plus, the Chiefs were given that opportunity to see their preseason snaps for guys like Colin Saunders, et cetera, today. That's less important to me than the health of the starters, which is the most important thing coming out of this game. But I just could not be less worried about quote-unquote rust going in the next week. Just This is a veteran enough team for that to be no particular concern for me. What will be a concern is whoever they play is how they come out in that game in terms of what does that first drive look like? What are they bringing to the table? Are they able to play fast, shoot out of the gate? I just don't think that's going to change between 1 week of break versus 2. So I'm very glad that was the decision that the Chiefs made today, and that we ultimately saw. Yes, the difference between 14-2 and 15-1 is kind of annoying. 15-1 would have been a little more fun record to have on the resume, and they're the 1 seed with the first round bye. Everything is all right in that regard. From our Facebook page, sorry again for empty username, but someone has commented. They agree a normal person's idea of a week off is different from an NFL player's idea of a week off. They'll be watching film and practicing. Most people don't practice their jobs when they're off work. It's a great point from Facebook, because you even heard it from, I believe Tim Ward was the one who mentioned it in the postgame presser just now. Tyrann Mathieu and Frank Clark are out there. Chris Jones, I think he mentioned specifically Mathieu and Clark, but those guys were out there practicing as if they were going to play this week. They are on the practice field. They are watching film. They are not eating Cheetos and doing all the things that I did whenever I was off last week. They are not in the recliner watching the Red Zone channel, seeing how many bonbons they can throw down at once. They did not get an enormous box of York patties for Christmas that they tried to get to the bottom of as quickly as possible. That was my time off. Our times off were different. Will be different. They will be absolutely locked in over the course of these next 2 weeks. They're just not going to play an NFL football game for 2 weeks. Maybe the one other thing that I would go back to that I thought about a little earlier today, if anyone's still not fully convinced. You do hear a lot about being in game shape. That's a real thing. If you're out for 6 weeks or something, I don't really expect to see Mitchell Schwartz back unless maybe if he came back to practice tomorrow, then maybe he could practice to where he would need to be. But you had Bashaud Breeland miss the first 4 weeks of the season, so he didn't play for a full off season and then was suspended it was the first 4 weeks, wasn't it? I think that's right. Beards, can you Google that really quick? How long Bashaud Breeland's suspension was? I think it was 4 weeks. Now I'm second guessing myself. But you have guys that miss the start of a season for an injury or a suspension or whatever. Getting into game shape is absolutely a real thing. Beards confirming. I was correct. Thank you, Beards. My favorite way that you confirm things that I say. It's just a big thumbs up. It means I was right.
After I held up 4 fingers.
Yeah, that's true. That's true, actually. I received it as the thumbs up. These guys are all in game shape right now. These are all guys who just went through a grueling season. The biggest concern I would have vis-a-vis being in game shape is, are you healthy enough to go play your best right now? The fact that Mike Rimmer started missing practice again and was inactive for this game when, you had some guys who were emergency active. If every lineman would have gotten hurt, I bet Eric Fisher would have played tonight. And maybe they would have just thrown Nick Keiser out there if it was the fourth quarter, whatever. But the fact that Mike Rimmer started missing practice and then was an easy inactive in this game means he was playing through his back injury, even though he was playing against the Falcons. A physical break, not going up against opponents trying to truck you over. TRU, everybody. That is valuable, inherently valuable. So I think that's a good thing for the Chiefs. Beards, let me know which audio we are ready to go to here. You mentioned it earlier, and I forgot. So we'll go to Andy Reid here in just a moment on the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. It's presented by the Missouri Lottery. Play the $5 Ride to Riches Scratchers game and play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly. Also brought to you by CBD American Shaman. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local CBD American Shaman. Our team score is your % off. They scored 21 points, so you get 21% off all day tomorrow. American Shaman. Life is better with the feather. Let's hear from Chiefs head coach Andy Reid right now, right here on Sports Radio 810. He gave the injury report out of the gate. We know it's a left femur broken for Deandre Baker, a sprained ankle for Willie Gay. Here's Andy Reid's opening statement and injury report.
All right. Had a couple injuries. Willie Gay has an ankle sprain. The tough one was Deandre Baker, his left femur was broken, so he's going to go through, and the docs will do a great job putting him back together there on that. My heart goes out to the kid. He's been busting his tail and really done a nice job for us. He'll be able to come back from this, so that's a positive as we go forward. And then Fenton, really both angles we're getting him a little bit there towards the end. But I thought he did a nice job battling through on that. Had a couple of real nice returns and some good pass coverage breakups. So, anyways, listen, I'm proud of the guys. I mean, this was a lot like a fourth preseason game where we asked these guys to play offense, defense, and special teams. And there weren't a lot of backups that I was going to play. So they really had to push through it, and in most cases, all worked out well. We were able to get a good look at some of the young guys. Some of the old guys were able to knock some of the rust off that they might have. So, and all of them had a great attitude with it. We came up short. I mean, we kind of had it going there for a little bit early, and after the punt, the muff punt, we had a problem there. After that short field, and they did a nice job. Listen, my hat goes off to the Chargers. I mean, they could easily come in here and not want to play. I mean, and it's a tribute to their head football coach and their organization. They're all those coaches and players for playing. And I got a ton of respect for Anthony and the job that he does. And he's got that thing going here now. They've won the last 4 games, and what a way to go into the offseason. I mean, it's a real tribute to him and his coaches and players.
Some nice stuff there from Andy Reid about Anthony Lynn and where the Chargers are at right now. The most important thing, I think, again, kind of big picture, is that update on Deandre Baker's injury. The optimism there is good. Again, he says he can come back from this. I don't know what exactly that means. You don't either. We don't. We're gonna have. I'm not sure he knows. Andy Reid doesn't know. Deandre Baker doesn't know. The doctors might have a decent idea at this point. It would obviously be excellent if he was able to be back on a practice field anytime soon. Again, Matt Verderam tweeted about this, but Baker is a real part of their plans for where they think they might be able to find even more value to keep that cornerback room young and cheap and the most sort of overperforming unit on this team. They spend a lot of money on that defensive line. They've had to go cheap in many ways in the secondary, really just outside of Tyrann Mathieu. Charvarius Ward, cheap deal, was a trade for Parker Enger. L'Jarius Sneed has been great, a 4th-round pick. Bashaud Breeland, back-to-back 1-year deals. Rashad Fenton, a late-round draft pick who's performed really well. You see all these places where they found value at a very high-value position group. Baker really does sort of fit that mold if he's able to come back soon. Certainly hope that will be as clean a break and as clean a cleanup as possible, and maybe that road to recovery won't take as long as it may have looked whenever he went off that field in the a bit of a macabre sort of vehicle. It was a little, I don't know. The whole thing was a tough scene. So hopefully it'll go better from this point forward for Deandre Baker. Reid also talked about what he's seen from Baker and when they've signed him to now, and if he had any words for him as he was carted off.
Yeah, I just told him to kind of hang in there, man. I mean, he was hurting, so it's obviously he's not doing a whole lot of talking to him right there. But I'm just proud of the way he's handled himself since he's been here. He's been through a tough road here, and comes in and really has done a nice job of just concentrate on playing. And went on, he was playing good football. Kind of a freak thing that happened, and I know he'll rebound from it. But for right now, our hearts go out to him. So.
It seems like he was earning a look there. Also, I didn't mention even Bo Pete Keys. He played tonight. I mentioned him earlier in the show, but just kind of throwing numbers at that position. Baker certainly seemed like he has one of the higher ceilings of that group. Hope to see him back soon. Andy Reid then sort of shifted, and the question shifted towards the playoffs and where the Chiefs are going to go from here. He was asked how much work he's been able to do, if any, so far on potential playoff opponents. Now we know the teams they could end up facing in the divisional round.
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard to narrow it down with the game still going on. I mean, it's crazy. with all the parity. But a couple of the teams we already know. We've dug in on some of the other ones that we don't know just to get a foundation. And some of my coaches behind the scenes, Joe Blaymeyer does a great job with all that. So, and he digs in, and we call, and then likewise on the defensive side, the guys, they have a combination of guys that do it. So with Terry and Alex Whittingham, so they get in and devour all that stuff too. So you're able to get at least a foundation on the teams, kind of what they're doing, the ones we haven't played.
And we know now, again, at the beginning of this game, Reed would not have known this, but now we know it will be the Colts, Browns, Ravens, or Titans that the Chiefs will face in 2 weeks, as they're coming off of a 2-week rest for their starters. Those teams will be coming off of, obviously, super physical, super high-intensity games. Certainly bodes well for the Chiefs. Any of those four, I feel pretty comfortable taking the Chiefs over. Over the next couple of weeks, though, and over the next couple of days, the Chiefs are really going to be in an interesting spot. Reed was asked what his message will be to the team over these next few days of trying to get some time to rest before it becomes really playoff crunch time.
Yeah, they just take care of themselves. I mean, take advantage of the time and rest, and then we'll get back to it here. So, and then their minds won't go far from it. That's just how this group's wired. So, not too worried about that. And then stay safe. That's the other part. So, with the COVID part of it.
I think that's about right. You get a couple days to kind of decompress, and none of them will get too far away from knowing what is coming up. Reed was asked for a little more of the specifics on what their schedule will look like this week and how much practice time they'll get.
Yeah, so we'll get a couple days in throughout the week, and we'll get some conditioning stuff worked in there, and I'll sit down and put all that together going forward here.
Also, the quarterback, obviously, different in tonight's game. Chad Henny went out there earlier in the week. Andy Reid had discussed that he wanted Chad Henny to go out there and play like a 20-year-old. He was asked if Henny lived up to those expectations.
Well, listen, I thought Chad did a real nice job. I thought he maneuvered around in the throw game well, the run game. He was accurate with the RPO part of it. He had good combinations with the termite, man. He was battling 34 and did a nice job. So I was proud of proud of him for how he worked. D-Rob's another one. I thought D-Rob really showed what he can do when he's in there starting in a position. He's a heck of a football player.
The rest of the offense had a couple of bright spots as well. Byron, Pringle, and Darwin Thompson, heard from both of them earlier today here on the show. He was asked about both of those guys, how they performed in this game whenever they were given the opportunity.
Yeah, I should have mentioned Pringle, too. I mean, he's really done a nice job all the way through. He was banged up there for a little bit. Ever since he's been back, he's really given us good snaps, and today was no different. He's so physical when he catches and runs, and he's got a real knack for that. You see it on his return game, too. And then Darwin, I'm happy for him because he hasn't had much playing time since early in the season before we got Levy on, and all of a sudden now he gets to go in there. He's so excited to have an opportunity to play. He got to show that he can catch the ball, he can run the ball and block, and all the things that we ask a running back to do. So it was great for him.
I really thought Darwin looked good out there. I mean, this is not going to be a surprise to people who know kind of how I feel about the running back position and the role in this offense. I think that there are a number of guys that could perform in that role and perform pretty well. I thought Darwin was among those guys tonight. He's a sensical fit in this offense. He makes sense in this offense, and I thought he performed well whenever again given that chance. Last thing from Andy Reid, we heard from Tim Ward earlier. What he talked about what he thought of Tim Ward's performance tonight. Also getting a chance to get on the field.
Listen, I was real happy for him because he's a kid was a basketball player and played a ton of football, so gives him an opportunity to get in here, and he showed it on the scout team every day, working our guys hard, and we kind of look forward to seeing what he would do when he had to worry when he wasn't doing it off a card, right? So that's and he got in and did a heck of a job. I thought I'm curious to see it on tape and see exactly. I didn't watch him every snap, but he showed up, and so I thought that was big.
Tim Ward is fast and he is big, and I don't know if Tano Passanio will be on this team next year or what the plan will be, but in terms of just freaky athletic defensive ends who might need to figure out some of the football stuff still, wouldn't be surprised to see Tim Ward being another interesting name to keep an eye on going into next season as a bit of a developmental player who Steve Spagnuolo could have a lot of fun with if he does round out his game. This is the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show. I'm forgetting how to talk, I think. I don't know what's happening. It's brought to you by the Missouri Lottery. Live wide open, play the $5 Ride to Riches Scratchers game from the Missouri Lottery, and win up to $100,000 instantly. Play it forward and play responsibly. Also, the digital coverage of this show, the visual coverage of this show on our Facebook page, our Twitch channel, our YouTube channel. It's all brought to you by Five Farms Irish Cream. 'Tis the season to enjoy the world's best Irish cream in your coffee, hot cocoa, favorite holiday cocktail, or simply on its own. Visit fivefarmsirishcream.com and follow Five Farms on Facebook and Instagram for signature recipes and more. Happy holidays from Five Farms Irish Cream. We'll take a break. Whenever we come back, Chad Henny is at the podium. We'll hear from him next here on Sports Radio 810.
You're listening to live post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
It's such a beautiful night. Look at the stars.
They're amazing. Did you know 20% of stars have planets orbiting them capable of sustaining life?
How did you know that? You must spend a ton of time reading.
Not at all. I use Blinkist.
Blinkist?
Yeah, it's an app that takes key insights from over 4,000 nonfiction bestsellers and gathers them into 15-minute blinks for you to read or listen to. With Blinkist, you can learn the main points of an entire book in just 15 minutes, as opposed to days or weeks.
What kind of books?
Nonfiction books in over 27 categories, from personal development to history, management, investing, philosophy, and more. Books like A Beautiful Mind, The 4-Hour Workweek, Freakonomics, and Sapiens. Blinkist makes it easy to learn about pretty much anything.
Like the stars?
Even the stars.
Right now, radio listeners get 25% off, plus 1 free week when you go to Blinkist.com/grow. To get this special offer, go to Blinkist.com/grow. That's BLINKIST.com/GROW.
Every weekday on Sports Radio 810, tune in to hear Kansas City's favorite local lineup. At 6 a.m., wake up with the Border Patrol with Stephen St. John and Nate Bucati. At 10, it's The Zone with Jason Anderson. Now at 2, get into the program with Soren Petro. And wrap up your day on Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Briscoe. Kansas City's hometown sports station. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
At Central Bank of the Midwest, we are focused on building strong communities across Kansas City. I'm Bill Ferguson, President and CEO. Our strong roots began more than 100 years ago in the heart of the Midwest and continue today across 5 states and 67 communities. Central Bank of the Midwest brings you the best of both worlds, a strong community bank with the resources and technology to deliver a legendary banking experience. Central Bank of the Midwest, strong roots, endless possibilities. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hi there, Gary Giles with Giles & Jewelry. Everybody knows Giles & Jewelry is the place to buy an engagement ring. Thousands of diamond rings, quality second to nobody. Come on into Giles, 95th and Antioch, right in front of the big high V. Giles & Jewelry, we're the jewelers you'll recommend to your friends and family.
Giles & Jewelry, for the best that's yet to come.
This isn't the start. Before I got here, I started training. And before that, I did something to my back. But my first move was Athletico Physical Therapy. That's where I'd eventually end up. So why not start there? I mean, my therapist immediately found the source of my pain. These are the same physical therapists who work with elite marathon runners. So soon, I was back to running, but without pain. You got this.
It all starts at Athletico. Schedule your free assessment at athletico.com.
And on second down, he'll hand it off this time to Darwin Thompson. And Thompson with his first rushing touchdown of the season. And Kansas City back on top, 13-7.
The key drive of the game brought to you by LMC Truck. LMC Truck offers quality parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks, SUVs, and vans. LMC Truck, keeping generations on the road.
An update from the primetime game. Washington is up 7-0 right now on the Eagles. We will get you that game, at least the second half of it here. The Washington football team.
Oh, yeah. Football team.
Football team is currently up 7-0 on Philadelphia football team, and I believe they just got a turnover? We'll see. I'll double check on that. But looking good right now for Alex Smith and Ron Rivera's team heading to the playoffs. Still very early, still in the first quarter, but they're up 7-0, and they just got the ball back on a turnover of some sort. So that is looking good again for Alex Smith's first year back from that devastating leg injury. Looks like it might end with him starting a playoff game around this time next week. Incredible. Certainly not done. 7-0 in the first quarter, but looking good right now for the Washington football team. We'll hear from Chad Henny here in just a moment on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show. It's presented by Missouri Lottery. Play the $5 Ride to Riches Scratchers game and play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly. Let's go to Chad Henny now, the Chiefs quarterback for the day. Talked about how it felt to get back out there and start a game for the first time in 7 years.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. I was excited to be out there. I think all of our guys were excited, especially moving the ball down there, getting some scores. But yeah, a lot of fun to be out there with the guys.
And the first touchdown pass, he threw 2 touchdown passes, one to Byron Pringle and one to Darwin Thompson. But he was asked about the touchdown pass to Pringle, how it felt to throw a touchdown pass again in his first start in nearly a decade.
Yeah, I mean, we had a great play on. It was really just sell the run, and then we had 2 post routes on the outside. So we were anticipating a lot of the linebackers be aggressive in the run game and the safety, and just worked opposite the safety. And Byron made a great catch and play there. So a lot of fun and great to get back in the end zone and to celebrate with the guys.
Obviously, probably the low point of the game for Chad Henny and the Chiefs offense, also a bit of a turning point in the game, was the safety that he took backed up in his own end zone. He was asked what he saw in that safety and how that play unfolded at the goal line.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a bad decision with me. They were I thought they were going to be in man coverage. They pressed, and then they brailed. So kind of gave a double move to DeMarcus out there. And at the same time, once I knew they bailed, kind of just either dirt the ball or just get the ball out. That was just one of those turning points in the game where you wish you had back.
I mean, it really would have been nice for them to be able to try to get that drive moving. Instead, it ended up being 2 points for the Chargers. They got the ball right back and made the Chiefs pay for it. Henny talked a little bit about the experience playing today and how it would translate if he was asked to be back on the field for any reason in the postseason, and how valuable this experience would be to get a little game time in under his belt.
Definitely valuable. I think getting out there, getting in the groove, and finishing the game off, and kind of just getting a feel for the game out there again. And with the run game, with some of our RPOs out there, and then obviously in our passing game. So feeling the pocket. Getting hit a little bit was good, but overall I felt comfortable out there. I thought offensive line and all the players, the skill guys, did a great job out there. Just wish we would have came up with a win and finished it off.
Now they enter this week off where a lot of guys obviously didn't play today, but now everybody is not playing next week. Henny was asked how they're going to approach having this week off and how they're going to stay sharp before their first postseason game.
Well, I think our game plan is to kind of take 3 teams. And just study film on them, split it up between the quarterback room, and share our notes with each other and stay into it with film study. And obviously physically, we got to keep throwing, stay physical in the weight room. But as a mindset, try to take some of these games, look at some of the opponents, and kind of get a head start in that case.
Among the guys in this game who stood out, Byron Pringle and Darwin Thompson, the 2 recipients of Chad Henny's touchdown passes today. They both had very nice games, and Henny was asked what he saw on the field from both Pringle and Thompson.
Well, they were both confident out there. I didn't think the stage was too big for them. They did a great job. They did what they were asked to do, and they made some plays. Darwin did a great job in the run game. The offensive line blocked well for him, and made some good job in the screen game as well. And then Byron came up with some big plays there. That tip ball, I thought he was going to get in, and then he was dancing around on the one play. It was just fun to see some of these guys go out and make some plays.
We've got a question on the Twitch stream, and there's been a lot of talk about Pringle all around, if he can get more playing time than Robinson or Hardman going forward. I think Pringle's best case scenario at this point is that he gets a larger role if Sammy Watkins and or Demarcus Robinson do not return this next offseason. If they don't, I think they'll add another receiver, by the way. But and McCole Hardman just plays a totally different position at this point. Disappointing not to see Hardman get to do a little more of the kind of the Tyreek Hill stuff when obviously Tyreek Hill was not playing. A little disconcerting to see. It just seemed like, I mean, obviously his biggest moment was a fumble. So I understand the Hardman sort of disappointment coming from a real place, because you like to see him have a little higher ceiling still, and that's something that we'll figure out in the maybe, if not weeks, year or so, not few months to come, and what exactly they do in that receiving group. It'll be very interesting. Pringle's made a good case for his continued roster spot. Last thing from Chad Henny, he talked about being able to play in front of his family. Again, his first start since he started 7 years ago with the Jacksonville Jaguars, played at half, then got yanked for Blake Bortles. Back on the field again today. What was it like for Henny to play in front of his family?
Yeah, I mean, it's a blessing. I mean, obviously early on in my career, I didn't, have the kids. I just had my, my wife, Brittany, and my parents and in-laws and just the rest of the extended family. But when you have kids, it's definitely a different feeling out there. And, I'm blessed that they were out there, got to see Dad play, and, hopefully they got excited for some of the plays out there.
This is Larry Ryan, and what we do with lawns in the coming weeks will have a lot to do with how great they'll look next spring. Get your 2021 lawn off to a great start today at ryanlawn.com.
The Chiefs quarterback press conference is brought to you by Ryan Lawn, of course. It's also brought to you by the Kansas City Acura dealers. Take a test drive at your Kansas City Acura dealer, and they'll make a donation to Patrick Mahomes' charity, 15 and the Mahomies. Schedule your test drive today. One more thing before we take a break. Come back with Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. He will be next. But in the meantime, we can offer you a Missouri Lottery prize pack if you call right now, 913-381-810, 913-381-810. Chad Henny wears number 4, the fourth caller at 913-381-810 will win a Missouri Lottery prize pack courtesy of the Missouri Lottery, where you can play the $5 Ride to Riches Scratchers game and play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly. Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest next on the Sports Radio 810 WHB Postgame Show.
Chiefs Postgame, brought to you by Casey's Own CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD. Everything is better with the feather.
It's football season in Kansas City, and that means it's ring season. So as KC hunts for another championship, there's no need to hunt for the best tasting light beer in town. You can run it back this season with the great taste of Miller Lite and enjoy greatness on the football field and in your beer. The official great taste of football in Kansas City, Miller Lite.
Please enjoy Miller Lite responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Stop by Premier Mazda today and save thousands. Right now, 0% APR for 60 months plus $750 APR bonus cash. And no payments for 90 days on any new 2020 Mazda. Premier Mazda is the 2019 President's Club winner and the largest Mazda dealer in KC. Right now, it's the Kickoff to Savings event at Premier. Get 0% financing for 60 months and no payments for 90 days. And take advantage of the Kingdom bonus when you mention this ad. Find out why Premier Mazda is Kansas City's best. Right past State Line and 135th or at PremierMazdaKC.com. LMC Truck, located right here in Kansas City, offers quality parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks, SUVs, and vans. At LMCTruck.com, their website features the same detailed interactive artwork as the catalog. Restoring old memories or just getting started on new ones, LMC Truck is here to help. They are more than just parts. Trucks are a lifestyle. They understand that. LMC Trucks helps you live it. Just go to LMCTruck.com. LMC Truck, keeping generations on the road.
The Chiefs are ready to run it back.
What a play by Mahomes!
And Sports Radio 810 WHB is your home for the NFL playoffs.
Wilson throws for the end zone. Metcalf has it. Touchdown, Seattle.
We'll bring you live coverage of all the action from the wild card round to the Super Bowl.
Touchdown! That's it! That's it!
Your home for the NFL playoffs. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Incomplete on his last 3 passes. Ty Long to punt it away. McCole Hardman is the deep man. And Hardman bobbles that. That's a loose ball, and it's scooped up by the Chargers. Joe Reed covers it up after McCole Hardman muffs it. And Los Angeles is set up first down deep in Chiefs territory.
The ugly play of the game, presented by We Buy Ugly Houses. If you're in an ugly house and it's an ugly situation, call the Ugly House Guys today. 1-800-44-BUYER or go to WeBuyUglyHouses.com. Fix that ugly situation and turn it into cash.
Certainly was an ugly situation there for Mecole Hardman. Again, one of the sort of small bummers out of this game that might stick a little bit is that Mecole Hardman had 2 catches for 25 yards, but that was certainly his most memorable play of the game, and it was in a game with no Tyreek Hill out there. Thought maybe we'd see a little more of Henny to Hardman, not a part of tonight's game in any meaningful way, and our ugly play of the game usually is something ugly that happens to the other team. Today, unfortunately, it's that. The good news is, it doesn't matter. Rest easy. It's a Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show here. I'm Joshua Briscoe on Sports Radio 810 WHB Kansas City. Beards McFly, Rudy Salazar roaming around as well. We're now joined by Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. You can follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. And he's brought to you by Bob Hamilton Plumbing and Heating, AC Rooter, and Electrical. The Chiefs scored 21 points today, so you get 21% off the Bob Hamilton Service Partner membership that includes 4 checkups a year on plumbing, electrical, HVAC, priority service, and 15% off service work. You better call Bob. We called Matt. Matt, tell me something out of this game that you think is going to matter 2 weeks from now.
Something that will matter 2 weeks from now.
You're stalling. I can hear you stalling already.
19 guys got the week off.
That's a great point.
Didn't get further hurt. They got some rest. They're going to be recuperated. You might have an entire linebacker group. You don't know. But, yeah, that's the best part that came out of this is that you got 19 guys in an NFL season to save a week of wear and tear on the tires.
And I imagine with that being your biggest takeaway that, again, will have an impact, the back-to-back weeks off does not sound like that. Does that scare you at all in terms of any concern of what kind of shape they'll be in 2 weeks? You don't think they're going to spend the weekend pounding York patties like I did in my week off?
I can't rule it out because that's a pretty good thing to do. I mean, I would be pounding some. Right now, I'm pounding these chocolate cookies that I made. With the Ritz crackers with the peanut butter in the middle that you dip in the chocolate.
Yeah, those are so good.
Yeah, I'm pounding those. So you gave me a week. Yeah, I'd have a bag full of those down, and I would have some problems. But no, I mean, I firmly believe that rest is a myth, and rust is a myth.
Mm-hmm.
I should pronounce that correctly.
Right.
It's about the team, and you know what? Teams that come out after an extra week of rest and look flawed are flawed teams.
Yep.
I don't think this is a flawed team. If they come out and they lose in the divisional round, it won't be because of a week of rest. It will be because of something else. So this is a team that should not have any lack of focus for this game. They should be ready for it. If anything, I think this week of rest for all these guys is a positive.
Yeah. And I mean, one thing that I thought was kind of telling was even seeing Mike Remmers just like I don't remember if he ended up practicing on a limited basis or not, but he got out of that rotation pretty quick after playing through it against the Falcons, and he was one of the guys that was completely inactive today. Obviously, there's a limit on how many guys you want to deactivate and can deactivate, and you have to have plenty dressed. And again, you did the math on who actually didn't play, but the fact that you see guys like that, maybe Ben Neiman tries to fight through if he needed to play today. Giving those guys that opportunity to try to get back to as close to 100% as possible. You've been around this long enough to know everybody's dealing with something right now, and to have 2 weeks to not sit on the couch, but to not have to get beaten up by an opposing football team. That feels like a legitimately enormous advantage going up against teams in 2 weeks from now. If it's the Titans or Browns or Ravens or the Colts, those are teams that have been in knockdown, drag-out games this whole season, and that won't stop before they face the Chiefs.
Yeah, and we're focusing on maybe the 5 guys who were inactive that were hurt during the week and didn't practice. But look at everybody else.
Yep.
I mean, Eric Fisher's been nursing some injuries. Le'Veon Bell had a banged up ankle. Frank Clark's been dealing with the stomach. Everybody else is dealing with things, and you can't tell me that Patrick Mahomes is not still feeling it a little bit from the beating he took against the Saints a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah,
because he definitely looked like he showed a little bit of the after effects against the Falcons. I mean, if you played 15 games up to this point, or it's close to it, you're going to have a lot of little bruises, things that are banged up. The offensive line, defensive line guys for sure. I think getting the chance to get all those guys an extra week of rest, to just restore themselves from an energy standpoint, just the wear that it puts on, I think it's a big deal. And that's why I think that it's going to make this team better in the long run. Like I said, I think the teams that look rusty when they come off of an extended rest of not playing for a couple of weeks are flawed teams. This is not a flawed team. So I don't think it's going to hurt them. I think it can only help them.
Yeah, I think you're right. One thing, obviously, I mean, there are 3 guys that ended up on the injury list after the game, but obviously Deandre Baker, broken femur. The injury looked awful in real time. The way that everyone was acting around it made it look, even worse. Andy Reid had a little bit of optimism in terms of hey, he'll be able to come back from this. We don't know any of the details, so I don't want to speak out of turn or ask you to, but if it is a relatively, normal, I'm watching Alex Smith on the TV right now, so I don't want to take anything for granted. But if it's a relatively normal broken leg recovery, maybe the Chiefs could be optimistic about him eventually seeing the field again. But what did you understand about what the Chiefs were hoping to see from him in the months to come, perhaps having him be a part of this defense next year? And if you have any hunch at all about how much that plan has been derailed?
Yeah, the somewhat positive, I guess, is that, broken bones are actually easier to come back from torn ligaments and tendons and things of that nature.
Yeah.
What you're kind of crossing, I think, your fingers about now is that when they do get in there and do surgery, that there's no additional damage that they find.
Yeah.
Fractured femur is terrible enough, and I don't want to have it, and it would probably keep me out for next season.
Yeah.
But, these guys are pros, and with the care that they get, you remember, it took me back to week 17 of the 2017 season. D'Anthony Thomas broke his leg in that game when the Chiefs rested their starters. And he was back, during training camp the following season. And that was a pretty bad break. So we'll see what the recovery is. But, the Chiefs, they brought him in as a flyer. It was really just to see what was in the tank. Obviously things did not go well with the departure from the Giants. That's why he was available. They wanted him to come in and see what he was as a player, as a person. And they liked what they saw on both fronts. They really felt like they had something that was going to be able to be somebody who can contribute to them in 21. I don't think that door's closed. It's still a possibility. The outcome is different. You go into the off season with a different plan, for the preparation. You've got a plan now for the possibility that he can't contribute. So it's going to affect some things what they do with the roster. But I don't think it's going to affect the Chiefs' plans of saying, we want this guy around in 21. See what maybe he can do, and see if he can come back from this and, still be the corner that a lot of people thought he could be.
And one little detail on the whole situation that led to him being cut by the Giants when the Chiefs brought him back, the original accusations that started the whole thing spinning was that he and Quentin Dunbar had been accused of a huge, multi-person robbery at a party, but everyone knew who they were. The whole thing was just very bizarre. I think I can say bizarre pretty clearly. But then I think it was the day before the Chiefs ultimately signed Baker to the practice squad, maybe 2 days, somewhere in there. Then reports started coming out that the attorney for the accusing parties had been arrested, where where Baker and Dunbar's representation had been saying from the jump that it was an extortion attempt. It makes it look like it might have just been a wild extortion attempt against Baker and Dunbar. Anyway, there's a ton in there that obviously we don't know for sure. And Matt, if you have any extra details or information you think is important there, please fill it in. But it makes that whole situation even more bizarre and honestly sadder, because this doesn't appear, with how things developed before the Chiefs brought him in, it doesn't appear that this is an issue of somebody making a horrible mistake and getting a second chance. It seems like somebody who got a raw deal that ended his time in New York.
Yeah, I think you pretty much have nailed it, and it was an extremely bizarre situation. But, the question about it that a lot of people around the league had was, hey, was this, truly just a, one-off situation? Or was it a situation of a person getting themselves into a bad situation because they hang out with the wrong crowd and the wrong people? That's what you just never know. And so when the Chiefs brought him in, they wanted to know a little bit more about the person and the player. And like I said, they liked what they saw from both standpoints. They certainly saw a little bit of rust when he was coming back, which was absolutely to be expected because he had no off season. had not played at all with the Giants, had not been on the field since last year as a rookie. But the fact that, he's able to come in, November 19th was really the first day that he was able to get in. And then by the end of the season, he was able to get up and play a couple of games and look pretty sharp in the first half against the Chargers. I think that probably speaks volumes about, what he was able to do in basically, 6-7 weeks with the Chiefs, and why they were certainly planning on him maybe being a contributor next year.
In the looking ahead sort of fourth preseason game section of this game, did anybody impress you that you know what, maybe we'll take a closer look at Tim Ward or the reps we saw from Bo Pete Keys, which were up and down, but there were some positive ones. Was Colin Saunders playing linebacker at the end of the game? Did any of those things strike you?
Colin Saunders playing linebacker was very, very interesting.
Yeah.
I don't think I need to see any more of that.
I disagree. I want all of it.
Well, I think if you want to see more of it, I don't know if you'd really like to see what the outcome of that would be.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
But no, you know what? I mean, that's one of those things of taking one for the team kind of standpoint. And guys who can do that, I mean, they definitely earn some points with the coaches. It's like if you go to somebody and just say, yeah, I need you to do something that you've never done before, and you might stink at it, but we just need somebody to go out there and kind of do it. That speaks volumes about player characters and about the fact that they were willing to go to him to ask him to do that, the fact that he's willing to step up and do it. I mean, that's a pretty good deal. I'll tell you what, I mean, I've really liked what I've seen from Darius Harris the last couple of games. He kind of fits in that category, too. Bo Pete Keys, I mean, I think based on the fact that he's been buried in the depth chart, I think I was probably expecting a little bit less from him, and it wasn't completely flawless. But I saw a guy flying around who was playing with a lot of physicality, who was hitting some guys. Yeah, I really liked Tim Ward. I mean, he was probably the one that I was most interested to see, just based on, how the Chiefs people behind the scenes have talked about him over the last couple of years. He's just a really intriguing case and, kind of really obscure and overlooked, but has a sack and 5 tackles today and looked really strong, working on the right side against the left tackle most of the day. I thought that was really encouraging. Most of the guys I thought really flashed were probably on defense. I mean, the guys on offense that looked good, hey, we know Byron Pringle can ball. He's going to get his chances. He deserves, more chances than he's gotten at this point. He's just buried behind some really, really good players on the receiver depth chart. And honestly, I thought Chad Henny played pretty well. I mean, it was, like I said, wasn't completely flawless, but you know what? If disaster struck and you needed Chad Henny to go out there and keep the show running, I think he can do that.
Yeah. Are you sitting down currently?
I am.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure because I need to give everyone the update here. The Jets have officially fired Adam Gase. There's your breaking news for tonight. Again, Matt, if I could just check in, still sitting down, still have all of your senses are still all firing.
I'm here. Izzy is here. We are both safe.
Okay, good.
Nothing has happened. No feathers have knocked me over.
Okay, excellent. I just wanted to make absolutely sure. But yeah, that's official from the Jets and a number of other sources, but the Jets tweeted out themselves. Adam Gase out from the Jets. We'll have plenty of time to talk about what Eric Bieniemy may or may not do whenever we get there, but there's your Jets update for now. I guess the other thing now at this point, because I'm pretty sure we've milked what we could out of this game, and I guess maybe Darwin Thompson looked good in the offense. This is going to shock you, but I think that a lot of running backs would look good in this offense, and as long as he holds on to the football, I think he's got a little roll in it. And do you have anything on that regard at all? And then I'm going to move on to big picture playoff stuff.
Yeah, I was intrigued by the fact that he looked really strong in the pass game. I mean, that's where I think was most impressive. The run game numbers weren't that flashy, but then again, he's working behind a number 2 offensive line, and there weren't a lot of opportunities there. But 7 catches for 65 yards and the score. I mean, I think he worked really well into the pass game, and that's the kind of role. I mean, Darwin Thompson's not going to be a feature down back in this league, but his hope is that he can be a third down back, somebody who can get in there and provide some relief, catch the ball out of the backfield, block some people. And I think he proved he showed he can do that. I mean, that is the ceiling. I mean, let's face it, that is the ceiling. But I think he still has that potential.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Let's look at the playoffs then. The AFC is set up. The NFC will be after this game tonight. And we will get you that next year on Sports Radio 810. But the Chiefs have the first round bye. The 2 seed is the Bills are the 2 seed. The Steelers are the 3 seed. They obviously won't face either of them. If all the favorites win, it'll be the Titans that the Chiefs will play in the divisional round of the playoffs. If any of the upsets happen, then obviously the lowest seeded upset the Chiefs would face, which would be Colts, Browns, Ravens as the 7-6-5. What did you make of how the bracket came together there? And of those 4 teams, is there any one of those that you think is most dangerous to the Chiefs? Is there any one of those you think would be most advantageous to the Chiefs?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it kind of shook out the way that it kind of looked like at the beginning of the day that it would, even though there were maybe some questions during the day. Yeah, Cleveland probably has to appreciate the fact that this Pittsburgh Steelers sat down Ben Roethlisberger, because Pittsburgh really didn't seem to try to win that game very hard, so that was nice of them, a little gift. But yeah, I mean, it's like I said, I mean, I don't think there's any surprises. I mean, obviously, every team in this bracket's 11-5 or better, so it's a tough field. I mean, it's not easy by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah, I mean, that group of teams that the Chiefs could face, none of them are particularly frightening. I mean, the Chiefs have handled some of them before. India obviously has recently given them problems. Tennessee has given them problems. I'm not as scared of Cleveland as some people are. I think that the Chiefs are just a better team, and frankly, they're a better team than all these teams. But Tennessee, I think, could give them some concerns. Baltimore's playing well, but the Chiefs have had their number, been close, but they've had them. Indy might be a bit of a wild card, but I still think that the Chiefs are a better team, and I'm not going to trust. As much as I like Phillip Rivers and I think he's a Hall of Famer and all that kind of stuff, I don't think he's going to win playoff games.
Yeah.
At this point in his career.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. I think the Cleveland game would be fun for reasons I can't fully explain to myself. I just think a Kansas City versus Cleveland playoff game just sounds like some good old fashioned fun. Also, it would mean they beat the Steelers, which I think would be pretty funny. But you're right. I mean, I think I would probably look at the Titans and Ravens as the 2 teams I'd be the least excited about seeing the Chiefs go up against, but I think they'd be rightly favored and successfully beat any of them, which makes sense considering that they're the number 1 with a bullet at this point in the AFC. Matt, thank you as always for joining us throughout this regular season. I'll probably talk to you next week in the radio format on Almost Entirely Sports, but I do not anticipate talking to you next Sunday, so enjoy your week off, eat a bunch of those cookies, and we'll talk to you again after a playoff game.
I will always eat as many cookies as I can, and I will always be there for you whenever I can.
In that order, though. If number 1 conflicts with number 2, I would understand you picking the cookies.
That is true.
That's only fair. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, Josh.
Matt Derrick of Chiefs Digest. Follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. Nearly at 20,000 Twitter followers. Get him there. Get him over the hump before the Super Bowl. What are we doing, everybody? Follow him on Twitter at Matt Derrick. You can also check out At Last, the Kansas City Chiefs' unforgettable 2019 championship season. If the Chiefs run it back or not, doesn't matter. That book will still be cool to have and mark the first one, hopefully, of many for the Kansas City Chiefs. This is the Sports Radio 810 WHB postgame show presented by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day. We'll take a break, come back, hear from Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert as we wrap up the show before we hand you over to the primetime game of the evening as Alex Smith and the Washington football team attempt to lock up a playoff spot. That's coming up in a little bit on Sports Radio 810. Justin Herbert and a little more postgame is next.
You're listening to live post-game coverage on Kansas City's home for the National Football League. Sports Radio 810 WHB.
LMC Truck, located right here in Kansas City, offers quality parts and accessories for Chevy, GMC, Ford, and Dodge trucks, SUVs, and vans. Just go to lmctruck.com. LMC Truck, keeping generations on the road.
Our friends at CBD American Shaman are calling an audible for our listeners, so listen close. When Kansas City scores, you score big at your local Shaman store the day after the game. If Kansas City puts up 30 points, it's 30% off the next day at your local CBD American Shaman. If they put up 50 points, you got it. 50% off the very next day. Now that's a big win. American Shaman, life is better with the feather.
Robert Brogdon Buick GMC in Olathe is your destination location for quality new and used vehicles. You'll find the area's largest inventory of new Buicks and GMCs, including the all-new 2021 GMC Yukon. Plus a huge selection of hard-to-find models with a hassle-free customer experience. At Brogdon, they know your time is valuable, making sure to give you the fastest car buying experience. And Brogdon is an official GMC Business Elite dealer, serving the entire KC metro area with professional-grade vehicles for your fleet or commercial needs. Visit robertbrogdon.com. See him in person at I-35 in Santa Fe and Olathe.
Ryan Lawn & Tree was recently voted the best landscaping company by KC Magazine. Winter is the best time to complete your outdoor projects so that you can enjoy your breathtaking outdoor oasis this spring. We specialize in projects that include outdoor kitchens, patios, pergolas, outdoor lighting, sunrooms, decks, and much more. Our designers are ready to create an outdoor living space that is uniquely yours. Kansas City owned and operated since 1987, Ryan Lawn & Tree is the company for all your landscaping needs. Visit us at ryanlawn.com today.
Some movement up front, no flags down as Henny goes back to the air. There's Pringle who breaks a tackle, and Byron Pringle with a move to the outside. Pringle breaking another tackle with a spin, and finally pulled down at the 11-yard line by Kenneth Murray.
The play of the game was presented by Central Bank of the Midwest. Take a new look at what's possible with Central Bank of the Midwest. Visit centralbank.net.
A little more post-game action here on the Sports Radio 810 WHB post-game show. It's brought to you by CBD American Shaman. Free CBD samples every day. Last piece of audio for us here today before we hand it over to maybe the tail end of the second half, and certainly, or the tail end of the first half, and the entire second half of Washington versus Philadelphia. It's 10-7 right now, and the Eagles have the ball around midfield. So Alex Smith's Washington football team trying to lock up a playoff spot. If Washington loses, the Giants will make the playoffs. Also, the playoff schedule is out right now. The TV schedule has been announced. On Saturday, Indianapolis at Buffalo will be the noon game. LA Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks will be Saturday afternoon, and the Saturday night game will be Tampa versus the winner from the NFC East, either Washington or New York. So that's your Saturday lineup. And then on Sunday, Baltimore and Tennessee are your noon kickoff on Sunday. That one will be a blast, and most likely will have the Chiefs' opponent in the second round of the playoffs. Chicago, New Orleans, Sunday afternoon, and then Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Sunday night. Could also be the Chiefs' playoff opponent, obviously, if Cleveland wins that game. The AFC games, though, noon on Saturday, noon on Sunday, and then Sunday night. The extended advantage of the extra playoff team, the extra wild card slot, and no first-round bye for the number 2 seed means that we're getting 3 games, both Saturday and Sunday this weekend, which is going to be awesome. And I can only imagine that you'll hear it all here on Sports Radio 810, maybe with a little help of ESPN Kansas City, Sports Radio 810, and then 1510 AM, 94.5 FM, your home for the NFL, right here on Sports Radio 810. Looking forward to next week's action. Enjoyed today's game, even though it didn't have any repercussions on the playoffs. Justin Herbert should be the AFC Offensive Rookie of the Year. He has been incredible this year since starting on unexpectedly Week 2 against the Chiefs. He completed his rookie season, his excellent rookie season against the Chiefs today. Let's hear what Justin Herbert said to Chargers media after today's game.
Hey, Justin, how do you feel like the team performed today overall?
I thought they did a great job. I think the guys up front did a great job blocking. We had plenty of time to throw and get the ball off, and the receivers made some plays, and especially the defense came up big with some stops. So I thought overall we played pretty well.
Now that the season's your first season's kind of over, what are some of the things that you kind of learned, or what's something that stood out to you about this season?
Yeah, I kind of talked about it after the game. I think the way that everyone battled back and fought together, I think, was huge. We lost a couple close games that, we could have been in and we could have had, but guys didn't quit on each other. That team, that locker room, they took care of business, and we got after it these past 4 weeks, and I'm really proud to be a part of that locker room.
And now, Justin, with the season being over and you guys ending 7-9, there's a lot of questions about Anthony Lynn heading into the offseason, if he should be the head coach. Do you believe that he should be the head coach moving forward?
Coach Lynn, like I've said, I believe in him. I believe in this coaching staff. I believe in the team. We lost a couple games that we would have liked to have back. We didn't finish those games, and I think Coach Lynn's done a great job leading this team, and I think that's kind of just what I've said over the past couple of weeks. So I really believe that.
Thank you, Justin.
Cam Buford.
Hey, Justin, congrats on the W. When you talk about your process of becoming a leader and how that's impacted the team?
I think that's just something that you kind of develop over the years of playing football, and whether that happened in high school, college, or in the NFL, you have to develop it to be playing the quarterback position. And I think Coach Hamilton and Coach Steichen have done a great job working with me throughout this year to really have a great understanding of the offense, so that when I go in the huddle, I know exactly what I'm talking about.
Why is it important to you to work out with the guys? Why has that been important, to go in the weight room and actually lift with the guys versus kind of working off to the side to yourself as you could as a quarterback of the team?
Anytime you get to spend around those guys is special. What I've come to realize, whether it's at 6 a.m. or whether it's in the afternoon, being around those guys is a lot of fun, and it helps when you get out on the football field. You know that when you're in that huddle, you can go to anyone on that sideline and or in that huddle and say, this is what I need. And exactly, they can say the same thing to me. So just being around them, I think is huge for us.
Congratulations on the season. Talk to you soon.
Katya.
Hi, Justin. Did you expect a rookie season like this in terms of your individual performance, rookie of the season caliber?
To be honest, I don't think really anyone expected the season to go like this with coronavirus and us doing our best on online meetings. And it's been a weird year. It's been tough. We would have loved to have won some of those games that we lost. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm really proud of the way the guys battled back. And I think that's what I'll remember most from this year.
And what you mentioned, I know it was a difficult year, difficult season for everybody, but is there a particular moment, play, or victory that, I don't know, that you will cherish from this year?
Shoot, I think there's too many to list right now. I could go through a bunch if you'd like. But I think over the past 4 weeks, the game-winning field goals, being able to set up the special teams for them to come up big like that, and especially in the locker room, just celebrating with those guys and kind of realizing that, it has been a tough year, but just so proud of the way the guys battled back.
But in general, just what do you take out of this record-breaking rookie season for you?
I think it's a great experience. Experience is the best teacher, and I made a lot of mistakes this year, but I'm going to learn from them. And we're going to watch the film. And this offseason, there's plenty of time to get better. And Coach Hamilton, Coach Steichen, plenty of opportunity to get better. And so I'm really looking forward to that.
Perfect. Thank you.
Jeff Miller.
Justin, I know it's your first year in the league, but we all know the business of football and uncertain what's going to happen with this coaching staff. You've been through a bunch of changes, and when you were at Oregon, you went through coaches, systems, and stuff. Is that adjusting from one system to the next? It seems like you've been able to handle that pretty well. That doesn't seem to be too daunting for you. Is that correct?
Yeah, I think anytime you face one of those challenges, especially like we did at Oregon, you got to depend on the guys around you, that locker room. And I know that we've got a great coaching staff here and a great locker room. And so whatever comes our way, I know that we're going to do our best and we're going to attack it and we're going to get better.
And what about this roster do you think is encouraging moving in will be your second season?
Yeah, I think we got a lot of young talent, a lot of guys on the outside, and especially a couple of offensive linemen that have done a great job all year. And I think the defense has stepped up big time when we needed them, especially these past 4 weeks. And so I'm really looking forward to getting some time with these guys and the receivers in the offseason and building even more timing.
All right. Thank you.
Popper.
Hey, Justin, what are you proudest of from this season?
Yeah, that's a great question. Kind of like I mentioned earlier, I think the way that we battled back, and especially after losing the game 45-0 to the Patriots, and no one wants to lose like that. And but guys showed up back to work. They came in the next day and at practice, and whether it's at games, they gave us their best effort. And so proud of the way that we battled back and won 4 in a row like that. And especially that's tough to do in the NFL. So really, really proud of those guys.
Now that you've tasted winning like this 4 in a row, does it increase your hunger at all?
I think it does. I think anytime you win a game is big in the NFL, and they're tough to come by. So any win that we can get, we'll take gladly. And so it just adds to experience. You get to play through these situations, through these experiences, and you get to learn. And so anytime you put film on the tape, you get a chance to watch it and get better from it.
Thanks.
Shelly Smith.
Does the beard stay?
Sorry, what was that?
Does the beard stay?
I don't know. I think that's probably something that I'll address when I have more time. It's just kind of been focusing on football, watching film. So.
Okay. Someday you'll get rid of that answer. Maybe not. It's a good one.
Nick Hamilton.
Hey, Justin. Going throughout the season, now that you have a little bit of time to reflect, what have you learned the most, not just about yourself as a quarterback, but yourself as a man?
Yeah, I found out that we're pretty tough. We lost a couple games close, and kind of like I mentioned earlier, some games that, we could have had that you look back and you watch and you kind of get a sick feeling to your stomach. But to be able to come back, bounce back, and whether you throw an interception or whether you throw a touchdown, it's always about the next play. And I think Coach Pep, we've done a great job of talking about that all year. So I think we've done an excellent job on that.
And what is the best piece of advice you've received this season from Coach Pep as well as Shane?
Yeah, before every game, he tells me to go have fun, to realize that it's just a game and that you go out there and you play relaxed. That's when you're going to play your best. And so, I give him a big hug before every game. We go out there and just try to have fun, do our job, execute, and hopefully good things will happen.
And how much do you feel like he's been key to your success? I know you do the work, you put in the time and the preparation, but how much do you feel like Coach Pep has been the key to your success and your development as a quarterback?
He's been huge. I've learned so much from him. And even when it started in June and July, just getting the chance to talk to him, talk about defensive coverages, protections, all those things, footwork, I think it was huge too. So when he got to come in, we got a lot of work in, and I think a lot of it is because of him.
A couple more for you. Fernando.
Justin, with everything that happened pre-draft, what people were saying about you, analysts and stuff like that, does that make this season, does that kind of like getting to throw it back in their face saying, look, I can play in this league and everything like that? Do you feel like that, like, you're kind of, I don't know how to say it. You're, I don't know, you won at the end because of the way you played this season?
That's a good question. I think I did a pretty good job of kind of staying away from all that stuff, all the noise outside of what was really going on. And as soon as the Rose Bowl was over, I knew that it was time to get better and time to prepare for the Combine, for the Senior Bowl, and really to prepare for the NFL. And so I spent all those times with coaches and just working on football. And I think that's the greatest thing. I stayed busy, did my job, and good things happen when you put in the work. And so over these past couple of months with Coach Steichen and Coach Hamilton, I think we've put in a lot of good work. And I think because of those guys, because of a great offensive line, some receivers that make a lot of plays, I think you're only as good as the guys around you.
And Justin, now that you're in the NFL and it's kind of like a fraternity, are you going to kind of reach out to different guys and see what you can do to get better from season 1 to season 2 as a quarterback? Maybe reach out to some of the veteran quarterbacks or some of the guys right now in the NFL succeeding? Yeah,
I think that's a great idea. I think anytime you're able to talk with some of those guys that have had so much success over the past decade or so, anything you can pick up on them is huge. So I'll definitely try and reach out to as many guys as I can, just so I can be the best quarterback I can be for the Chargers.
Thank you, Justin.
Last one for you, Gilbert.
Hey, Justin, you got more records today, but you kind of fell short on the passing yards for the season. Are you disappointed at all by not getting that rookie record?
No, I'm not disappointed. I'm just glad we got the win. I'm glad that, we finished the season out strong with 4 wins, and really proud of the way the guys battled today. Were you aware of it during the game about how close you were? No, I did a pretty good job of kind of staying away from it. I know a couple guys were trying to whisper in my ear and let me know, but I think I did a good job of just going out there and playing. And now that the season's over, do you want that Offensive Rookie of the Year award? Is that something you think about? Is it special to get that? I think it'd be a great opportunity for our offense. I don't think it's an individual award, and I think it's based on the guys around you. And Keenan, Mike, Hunter, all those offensive linemen, Dan, Forrest, Brian, Trey. I mean, I wish I could name them all. But I think anything like that recognizes one guy, I think it's because of everyone.
There's Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert, an incredible rookie season, and I anticipate we'll see a lot of him in the years to come here in the AFC West, and it'll be a bunch of good matchups between him and Patrick Mahomes, whoever else ends up being, whoever ends up quarterbacking the Broncos and Raiders in years to come. Be locked for another year. We'll see about Derek Carr and all that, but really, at least Herbert and Mahomes should give us 2 good showdowns every year. Unless the Chiefs keep having the number 1 overall seed locked up by week 17. In that case, something different. This has been the Sports Radio 810 WHB post-game show presented by the Missouri Lottery. Play the $5 Ride to Riches Scratchers game and play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. Play responsibly. I'm Joshua Briscoe. You can follow me on Twitter at JB Briscoe. Follow all the 810 socials. And in 2 weeks, we'll be back to wrap up whatever happens in the postseason. Next, though, Alex Smith and the Washington football team. Sunday Night Football continues. The second half is live next here on Sports Radio 810.
Chiefs Postgame, brought to you by Casey's Own CBD American Shaman. Come on into your local shaman store for a free sample of stress-sacking CBD.